something happen. And so here's what I want to talk to you about tonight. You know, if you're looking to have a breakthrough, if you're looking for something significant to change in your life, whether that has to do with your relationship, whether that has to do with your finances, whether that has to do with your health, one of the things that I want to do is I want to save you some time as you push through this year. And the reason why I want to save you some time is because most of us, when we're looking to make some things happen, we tend to focus on the outside. So in other words, when we're thinking about losing the weight, we spend a majority of our time focusing and thinking about what is going to be our new fitness plan, what is it that we're going to eat. We're thinking about taking our businesses to the next level. We think about conferences and events that we can go through, and all those things have their great place. We think about actual systems and programs that we can implement. And when we think about maybe perhaps getting into some wonderful relationships, we start thinking about the different vehicles that we're using. So if you're going to eHarmony, if you're going to, where people meetup.com and all these different websites and so forth. And so what we have a tendency to do is when we're looking for a breakthrough, when we're looking to make some things happen, we focus on the outside. But what I want to tell you and what I want to invite you to do is to create a shift and start your focus, start your breakthrough by focusing first on the inside. Why? Because that's often where the biggest challenge is going to lie. That is often where your breakthrough lies. It's on the internal game, that internal battle, those internal conversations, those internal struggles, those internal habits that you've got to be able to break through that are going to allow you to create and actually produce the results that you want on the outside. And so I remember hearing this very long time ago. As a matter of fact, somebody actually wrote a book, and the title of the book is that success is an inside job. And I tell you something, I totally agree with that. And the reason why is because I believe that the majority and the greatest battles that we will ever fight are not the battles that take place on the outside. It's not the battles that take place with your competition. It's not the battles that take place with your adversaries. It's not the battles that take place even perhaps with people that you have issues and contention with. It's not the battles that take place with your spouse if you're having issues there. It is the battle that's on the inside. As a matter of fact, I tell people all the time that the greatest battle that you will ever have to undertake is the battle that takes place within only 7 inches. And you might be listening to me and say, well, Andy, what do you mean by 7 inches? What I mean by that is, on average, the average distance between your 2 ears is about 7 inches. And in between your 2 ears is this thing called your mind. And the majority of your negative self-talk, the majority of your self-defeating thoughts, the majority of your self-limiting beliefs, the majority of where your bad habits stem from is right there in your mind. And so the biggest battle that you will ever have to fight is the battle against yourself. It is the one you versus you. Or in other words, if you're speaking to yourself, it is me versus me. That is the biggest battle that you will ever have to fight. And what I need you to understand is when you spend all of your time focusing on the outside and trying to remedy and change things in your life, by looking at things who are only on the outside, you're doing yourself a significant disservice. And what I'm saying to you is save yourself some time as you push through this new year by first evaluating and really considering and thinking about what's happening on the inside. One of the things that I remember and I have recalled hearing from one of my mentors over and over again. Many of you have heard of a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. He's one of the top 5 speakers on the planet. He's a best-selling author. He has had the opportunity to literally speak in basically practically every single country that you can even name off of the top of your mouth. And he has made in excess of over $55 million in his speaking career. And one of the things that he shares all the time is that getting in front of audiences full of thousands of people is very easy for him. He says, as a matter of fact, one of the things that's very easy for him is for him to get in front of an audience of 10,000, 20,000 people at times and deliver actual keynote message. That these amazing books that he's written has impacted and changed lives, those things were all easy. But he says over and over and over again that the most difficult thing that he's ever had to do was to convince himself that he was capable of doing it. And he talks about how for 14 years, he sat on the sideline because he wanted to, and he thought about getting out there and speaking and working on his craft. But for 14 years, he didn't believe that it was possible for him. He didn't believe that he had what it took. And so the biggest thing for him to get out there and start to embrace his gift, to be able to make the impact, to get to the level at which he is right now, was for him to master and to win that internal battle. For him, that internal battle, that internal game took 14 years. And what I'm trying to do is I want to save you some time. I'm hoping that it's not going to take you 14 years to move forward and make some things happen in your life. I'm hoping it's not going to take you 14 years to write the book, to start the business, to finally find that happy, fulfilling marriage, to lose that weight once and once for all. And what I'm saying to you is that if you want to shorten the time span of you accomplishing your goals and your dreams, you need to shift the focus from just on the outside. You need to shift this focus now on the inside. That's where the struggle happens. And so what I'm saying to you is that right now, someone's listening to this message and you are aspiring to have a six-figure business or a multiple six-figure business or a seven-figure business. And you've been spending all your time looking on the outside and looking at what other people are doing and thinking about the systems and the websites and the support and all the things that you should be doing. And all those things have their place. But perhaps the biggest thing that's keeping you away from hitting that six-figure mark, that multiple six-figure mark, or even that seven-figure mark is that limiting self-belief in which you don't even believe that it's possible for you. And what I'm saying to you is until you can win that internal game, until you can win that internal battle, then chances are it doesn't matter what you invest in on the outside. It doesn't matter how many workshops you go to. It doesn't matter what you do, then unfortunately, you're still going to find yourself capped off. You're not going to hit your expectations. Now, I just chose to use money as an example there, but this applies in every other area in your life. This also applies to relationships. You know, my wife happens to be a professional matchmaker and a relationship coach. And one of the things that she coaches specifically are successful single women. And I had the privilege of many a times of sort of listening in on some of my wife's sessions and actually going to some of her seminars and workshops as she's coaching this women. And one of the common themes within her clients that she's coaching is that many of the women that she coaches who are having success in all the areas in their life except in their relationships, they found that over this period of about 10 years, they've essentially been dating the same guy, however, with different names. Let me clarify what I mean by that. In other words, over a 10-year period, they haven't been dating the exact same guy. They've been dating maybe perhaps 10 different guys over those 10 years. And one of the guys' name might have been John. Another guy's name might be James. Another guy's name might be Andrew. Another guy's name might be Ronnie. Regardless of what the guy's names, but there's a common thread that even though they've been dating different men with different names, overall, they've been attracting the same type of guy. And so what she typically discovers is that as much as the women that she's coaching are complaining about the type of guy that they've been dating and how these guys are not doing what they want and how these guys are inconsiderate and they don't want to settle down and they're not ready for commitment, what she finds is that the common denominator oftentimes is the woman. And so what's happening is she's actually attracting this very guy that she's complaining about. And so even though she's dated 10 different guys, in many ways, these 10 different guys have so many things in common. And the very things that they have in common is the very thing that the woman does not want. And so oftentimes what she needs them to do is to remove the focus and stop blaming it on the guys and talking about how there aren't any good guys out there and how all the guys are this and they're cheaters and they don't want to commit. And what she gets them to do is start to focus on the inside. Start focusing on the inside game and start realizing and thinking about what are the things that you're doing that's attracting the same kind of guy into your life. What are some past issues that you haven't dealt with? What are some things that you need to deal with that has kept your self-esteem at a certain level where you continue to repeat the same type of pattern? And what the women often discover in the process of working with my wife, that when they thought oftentimes that the problem was on the outside, they thought it was the guys in the dating scene and the online websites and so forth. What they often discover is that they needed to do the work on the inside. And once they did the work on the inside, they begin to attract a different person. And so what I need you to understand is that this principle applies regardless if you apply it to your finances, if you apply it to relationships, or you apply it to your health, There needs to be an inside game that needs to take place. As a matter of fact, I think back, I have one of my cousins that I'll never forget this. He really, really got serious, and he started to completely change his health regimen. And so what he started to do is he was waking up early in the morning and he was going to the gym. He started preparing his meals and decided to actually cut back on a lot of the carbs. He was eating salads and lean pieces of chicken, and he was doing a lot of great things. And over the period of about 3 months, he lost something like 55 pounds. I mean, it was absolutely amazing to watch his transformation. But he lost the weight, and within the 6-month period, he put all the weight back on, including an additional 15 pounds. And so when you look on and you say to yourself, well, how does that happen? How does somebody lose that type of weight? How do they have that level of commitment to be able to lose the weight, but yet and still gain it all back? Well, when we had an honest discussion, what we realized is that he still had some internal things that he needed to work on, or the reason why he finds himself always putting the weight back on. So it doesn't really matter about how serious he gets about the gym. It doesn't really matter if he decides to change his eating regimen until he deals with the mental issues on the inside, that when he finds himself stressed out that he resorts to food, or the fact that he doesn't identify with the leaner guy, that the guy that had lost all the weight, the guy that he really identifies with is the guy that's overweight. Then what's going to happen, it's always a repeated process of losing the weight and gaining it back. And this happens to so many people who attempt to actually lose the weight. They lose the weight because they maybe perhaps are doing all the right things on the outside, but over time, guess who wins? The inside. And so what they need to do is really change their mindset. They need to change what's going on the inside. The reason why they resort to the food, the psychological things that are happening, the things that the person that they identify with. Oftentimes when people lose the weight, they don't even identify with the thinner, leaner, healthier them. They identify with the heavier set person. And because of that, that's who they see in the mirror. So it doesn't matter how great they look on the outside, they're still thinking and see themselves as that other bigger person. And so ultimately, guess what they do? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they find a way to put it back on. And so ultimately, what a shift in the focus needs to happen is that they need to shift the focus and start thinking about what's that inside game. And so what I need you to start thinking about is, what are the different areas in your life that you're looking to have a breakthrough? What are the different areas in your life that you're looking to make some great things happen? And what I want to help you to do is, I want you to create a shift, and I want you to stop focusing on the outside. Now, ultimately, we will have to get to those things on the outside. Yes, if you're looking to lose weight, you're going to have to work out. You're going to have to change your eating habits. If you're looking to grow your business, you're going to have to implement some new systems, some new procedures, some new policies. You're going to have the right people on your team. If you're looking to have a happy, fulfilling relationship, yes, you're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to go on some online dating sites. You're going to have to go on the dating scene, meet new people. Yes, you're going to have to do some things on the outside. But what I'm saying to you is that in order for those things to be done properly, first you need to put all your focus on the inside and start dealing with what's going on in there. You know what? Socrates said that an unexamined life is not worth living. And so at some point, you got to examine your life. You got to look within, and you've got to ask yourself, why is it that I've been able to cap myself off? What is it, and why is it that I haven't demanded more out of myself physically? Why haven't I demanded more for myself within my business? Why haven't I demanded more for myself spiritually? Why haven't I demanded more for myself? And so you got to figure out, what are the limitations that you've set on yourself? What is the bar that you've set on yourself? And why is the bar set there? And what do you need to do on the inside so that you can raise the bar, so that you can raise your expectations, so that you can stop sabotaging yourself every time you have progress and destroying all the progress that you begin to make? And when you begin to start realizing that there's an internal game there that needs to be done, that's when you begin to have your breakthrough. You know, I think about this. Years ago, I had somebody that reached out to me, and they were interested in one of my coaching programs. And you know what? We had a series of our coaching programs. And at the end of the coaching program, I was asking her for her feedback. And she said, Andy, I've got to tell you, I got tremendous, tremendous value for going through this coaching program with you. She says that, you know what, you have helped me to completely transform the way that I have really looked at my story. the way that I implement my story when I'm going out and I'm speaking, I'm delivering my keynotes. And she says, I got to be honest with you. She said, when I look at the value that you provided me and I look at what you charge me, I personally believe that you significantly undercharge me for the value that you created. And I tell you that that is a difficult thing to hear. When you have somebody who paid money for one of your services, who tells you, I appreciate you providing the service, and then tells you just straight up, you have significantly undercharged. And when I thought about what she told me and I thought about the value that I was creating, she was absolutely right. But even bigger than that, the question was, then why wasn't I charging for what the value was at? And what I realized is, without even realizing it, was that I had set a limitation on myself. I had capped myself. I decided to set a price range that I was comfortable at when I provided so much more value than that. And so that was something that I had to deal with on the inside. That had nothing to do with the coaching program. It had nothing to do with the people that I was coaching. And it had everything to do with me and my own personal limitations that I had set on myself. And so, needless to say, I did some soul searching after that. And I was able to increase the price of that program literally by 3 times what I was charging, and didn't miss a beat with the people that were signing up and actually joined the coaching program, which really shows you that I was charging significantly less than what I should have been charging. And I share that with you to make you understand that that had nothing to do with all the other things that I was focused on with the coaching program and how it was going to be aligned and what was going to be in the websites and the landing pages and the emails and so forth. And that had everything to do with what was going on internally and me having to work through some things internally to realize that I had personally set a cap and a limit on myself. And what I need you to understand is that sometimes you're so busy focused on the outside and reaching out for different things and looking what other people are doing that you're forgetting to go inside, right? To be introspective, right? To evaluate yourself on the inside and start thinking about, as you pursue your goals, as you pursue your dreams, to start thinking about, well, what is it that I need to change on the inside so that I can help these things that I'm hoping that is going to actually become a reality to take place on the outside. And so oftentimes the key is going to lie on the inside. So there's going to be some inside work that you've got to do. You've got to do some soul searching. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to understand those places, those areas in your life where you keep self-sabotaging your relationships and you keep saying to yourself, well, I can't find a happy, fulfilling relationship. Well, let's not just blame it on all the people that you're dating or the people that you've been with, but let's figure out how you're contributing to this. Or if you're just saying, well, I've been working so hard and I'm not producing the results that I want. Well, okay, well, let's stop blaming it on everything else and let's start thinking about, well, is there anything that's going on the inside in which you are working hard, but maybe perhaps you're limiting yourself or you're self-sabotaging yourself? And what I'm saying to you is that oftentimes the answer is going to lie on the inside rather than on the outside. And so don't forget, success is literally an inside job. And I want you to think about this. I want to give you this analogy to help you to see how and what it is that so many of us do. I want you to imagine for a moment that, and I remember the first time that I heard this example, it was the Dr. Wayne Dyer. You guys remember Dr. Wayne Dyer? He used to be on PBS on public television. And he gave this powerful example to help us to sort of see what we attempt to do when we should be really working on the inside. And here's what he said. He says, I want you to imagine for a moment that you pull up and you just got home and now you are walking towards your front door and you pull out your keys and you stick your key in the front door, you unlock the front door, you take your keys out, you shut the door, and you lock the door. And now you're inside the house. And about maybe 30 minutes to an hour go by, and you realize now that you have misplaced your keys. And clearly, your keys have been misplaced inside the house because you used your key to actually open the front door. You took the keys out of the front door and you came into the house. So one thing is certain is that you have misplaced your keys inside your house. But in order to try to find your key, in order to try to solve this problem of having lost your keys, you decide now that you're going to go into your bedroom, you're going to put on your sneakers and you tie those on, you're going to put on a pair of jeans, you put on a light sweater, and you grab yourself a flashlight, and now you go outside of your house and you go looking for your keys that you have lost. Now, if we saw somebody do that, we would think that they were absolutely crazy, insane. And the reason why we would think that they were crazy, insane, we would say to ourselves that it is ridiculous that we know for sure that they have lost their keys inside the house, and now they've decided to actually put on their sneakers, jeans, a light sweater, grab a flashlight, and they're outside the house looking for their keys. And we know for sure that as long as they're looking outside, they will never, ever find the keys that they're searching for. And what I need you to realize is this, and the great point that Dr. Wayne Dyer was trying to make, is that so many of us are doing that exact thing. We are outside right now with our flashlights, and we're walking all around, and we're trying to find the solution to our business. We're trying to find a solution to our finances. We're trying to find a solution to our relationship. We're trying to find a solution to our health. And we're walking outside with this flashlight, and we're trying to find the keys that's going to allow us to solve the problem. All the while, the keys are on the inside. And so we can spend days, we can spend months, we can spend years looking for the keys on the outside, but ultimately, we will never, ever solve the problem until we decide to look on the inside. And so what I'm inviting you to do is to begin to look on the inside. Look on the inside right now in the different areas in your life in which you're seeking to have a breakthrough. Listen, I don't know what area in your life you're looking to have a breakthrough. I don't know if you're looking to have a breakthrough with your finances. I don't know if you're looking to have a breakthrough in your relationship. I don't know if you're looking to have a breakthrough in your health. I don't know if you're looking to have a breakthrough in your personal spirituality. I don't know where you are looking to have a breakthrough. But one thing I can tell you is that wherever it is that you're seeking to have a breakthrough, is as opposed to you just focusing on the outside, that you can significantly increase and you can also expedite, and you will be able to get your outcome much faster if you begin your search by looking within, by examining yourself on the inside, by being very honest with yourself and trying to figure out the places in which you've been holding yourself back. Figure out the places in which you've been sabotaging yourself. Figure out the places in which you have set your own limitations, and figure out the places in which you have found a way to hold yourself back from the things that you've been making to happen. And so I just want to remind you once again, excuse me, success is an inside job. The biggest battle that you ever have to face in your life is the one that takes place between the 7 inches, which is the average distance between your 2 ears. If you want to have a breakthrough, if you want to make some great things happen, I need you right now, this moment, to begin to create a focus on the inside, to examine yourself. Go into a private room, shut the door, and get still and start examining yourself. Lay down on the couch if you need to, and start looking at the areas in your life where you've had repeated patterns of not having the right outcome, of maybe of putting the wrong people in your environment, of perhaps self-sabotaging, making things happen, and then breaking it all back down. But I need you to just get still for a moment and pinpoint those areas. And then I need you to go deep. And you're going to have to be honest with yourself and try to figure out what are the things that are happening on the inside that's keeping you from producing the results that you want on the outside. And if you can change your focus from being on the outside to now being on the inside, I guarantee you that you're going to be able to produce some significant results. You know, I thank you so much for being part of Thursday Night Show Up for Your Life Motivational Movement. And, you know, I want to end by telling you this, and I always share this with you. You got to show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you don't show up for your life, if you don't take the time to examine yourself on the inside, if you don't understand fully that success is an inside job, if you're not willing to show up every day and go after your goals and your dreams, then guess what? If you won't do it, then nobody else will. And I want to thank you so much for being part of the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. And before we open up the lines, I want to share a couple of things with you. I want to remind you that you can get a copy of my book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. You can get a copy of the book by going to barnesandnobles.com or going to amazon.com, or you can make your way over to showupforyourlifebook.com, showupforyourlifebook.com. You know what? I could care less which site you choose to go to get the book. The most important thing is that you get a copy of the book and you read the book, because I believe these 7 principles are going to help to transform your life and really, truly take your life to an entirely different level. Also want to remind those of you, if you haven't already done so, you can join our online community. And so if you are on Facebook, we do have a private Facebook group. If you're in Facebook already, you can just simply type in Show Up for Your Life, Show Up for Your Life, and you're going to find the Show Up for Your Life private group. Send us an invitation to join the group, and we'll be more than happy to accept your invitation and welcome you into the group. And of course, I want to welcome you in advance as you join the Show Up for Your Life group. We have about 966 people in the group right now, and we would love for you to be number 967. So please join us in the Show Up for Your Life group. Also, if you want a shortcut to getting there, you can open up a separate web browser and just simply type in showupgroup.com, showupgroup.com.